Be me, 25, gender studies graduate, activist in Portland. Run Instagram account called Toxic Male Tears with 15K followers. Spend my days calling out problematic male behavior online. Firmly believe men are choosing to be alone because they can't handle strong women. Modern women are just too evolved for these mediocre males. Men would rather cry about loneliness than actually improve themselves. Best friend Sarah shares my energy, runs Feminist TikTok account. We make content about how men's suicide rates are just natural selection. If they can't adapt to women having standards, maybe they shouldn't reproduce. We genuinely think we're making the world better by weeding out weak men. Our comment sections are full of women cheering us on. One day, scrolling through Twitter, see trending hashtag about male suicide. Article about 25-year-old guy who killed himself. Left note about never finding love. Sarah sends it to our group chat. Another one bites the dust, LOL. We joke about how he probably had unrealistic standards. Must have been an incel who couldn't handle rejection. But something about the article bothers me. Guy seemed normal, had job, hobbies, wasn't posting misogynistic rants. Just wrote about feeling invisible and unwanted his entire life. Said he tried therapy, self-improvement, everything people suggested. Still couldn't find anyone who wanted him. Comment section is brutal though. Women saying good riddance and one less creep to worry about. Men sharing similar feelings getting told to just delete yourself. I join in, quote tweet with maybe work on your personality next time. Gets 5K likes. I feel validated in my worldview. Week later, Sarah sends me DM from her follower. Woman says her brother just attempted suicide after brutal breakup. He's 23, engineering student, apparently really sweet kid. Girlfriend left him for someone more exciting after 2-year relationship. Now he's in hospital, attempted overdose. Sarah forwards it to me. Why are we supposed to care about male feelings? I agree publicly, but privately something feels wrong. Look up statistics about male suicide for my next post. Planning to make content about how it's still somehow women's fault. But the numbers are concerning. Men kill themselves 4x more than women. Rates have been climbing for decades, especially among young men. Single men have the highest rates of all demographics. Most common note theme, nobody will ever love me. This isn't just in Kells, it's teachers, nurses, engineers, artists. Try to research why these rates are so high. Planning to find evidence that it's because men are entitled. Instead, find studies about male social isolation. Greater than 76% of suicides are men, mostly due to relationship/social factors. Men report having fewer close friends than ever before. Many haven't had physical affection in years. Read about something called deaths of despair. Suicide, overdose, alcohol poisoning among young men skyrocketing. Linked to social isolation, economic hopelessness, romantic rejection. Areas with worst dating prospects for men have highest suicide rates. This is starting to feel less like natural selection, more like epidemic. Sarah notices I'm posting less male tears content. Asks what's wrong. I try to explain what I've been reading. She rolls her eyes. Don't tell me you're falling for MRA propaganda. These studies are probably funded by Bitter and Kells. But the data is coming from CDC, university research, medical journals. Decide to dig deeper into individual cases. Find suicide forum where men discuss their plans. Holy shit, these aren't angry misogynists. They're just tired and hopeless. Talking about never being touched, never feeling wanted. Years of rejection destroying their will to live. One post from 26-year-old virgin. Says he's tried everything. Gym, therapy, hobby groups, volunteer work. Been on 3 dates in 5 years. All ended in polite rejection. Spent thousands on dating apps with 0 success. Just wants someone to love him before he dies. Comments are other men relating, sharing similar experiences. Another from recent college grad. Describes watching all his friends get girlfriends while he remains alone. Says he feels like genetic trash, waste of oxygen. His therapist tells him to focus on himself, but he's been doing that for years. Nobody wants him, and he can't figure out why. Sounds defeated, not entitled. Start reading these posts daily, getting more disturbed. These men aren't demanding sex or hating women. They're just desperately lonely and see no hope. Many talk about their mothers finding their bodies. That's the only thing stopping them from pulling the trigger. Find post from guy whose friend committed suicide last month. Says friend was 24, kind, funny, worked with disabled kids. Never had girlfriend, died virgin, left note apologizing for being burdened. Everyone at funeral talked about how sweet he was, but no woman ever gave him chance. Comments fill with similar stories. Men sharing about friends who killed themselves over loneliness. Not dramatic breakups, just complete romantic isolation. These guys were teachers, EMTs, social workers. Good men whose society failed, then blamed for failing. Beginning to realize I might be part of the problem. My content celebrates when lonely men give up, treats their suffering as comedy, their deaths as victory. What if some of my followers read my posts before killing themselves? What if I push someone over the edge? Sarah sends me article about male loneliness epidemic. With caption, boo-hoo, maybe try not being creepy. But article is from Harvard researchers, not MRA blog. Describes 60% of young men as chronically lonely. Many haven't had meaningful conversation with women in months. Social isolation killing them faster than smoking. Article interviews therapists treating suicidal men. All describe same pattern. Complete romantic/social isolation. Men who've never been kissed, hugged, or chosen by anyone. Told their loneliness is toxic, their desires are problematic. Eventually, they internalize that they're worthless. One therapist mentions client who killed himself. Left notes saying, "I'm sorry for being born male." Have been bullied online for expressing loneliness. Women told him his feelings were misogyny. He deserved isolation. Believed them and decided world was better without him. Start questioning everything I've posted. How many lonely men saw my male tears content? Did I contribute to someone's decision to end their life? Was I celebrating human suffering because it was politically acceptable? The guilt is eating me alive. Find study about dating app statistics. Greater than 80% of women compete for top 20% of men. Average guy gets 1 to 2 matches per month. Most don't respond. Suicide rates correlate directly with areas where dating is hardest. We've created a system where most men are romantic failures, then mock them when they can't handle the rejection. Read about incels beyond the media portrayal. Most aren't violent misogynists, just chronically rejected men. Many are disabled, ethnic minorities, short, poor. Society tells them looks don't matter. Personality is everything. But dating apps prove looks are 90% of initial attraction. They're gaslit about their own experiences. Sarah catches me reading incel forums. Threatens to expose me as male-identified feminist. Says I'm being brainwashed by male manipulation. But these men aren't trying to manipulate anyone. They're anonymously discussing killing themselves. There's no agenda except ending their pain. Find suicide note posted online. Greater than 22-year-old writes about dying virgin, never being kissed. Says he tried approaching women for years, always rejected. Worked out, dressed well, developed hobbies, nothing worked. Tired of being treated like he's diseased for wanting love. Apologizes for taking up space in the world. Comments are mixed. Men sharing similar feelings, women saying good. Some women celebrating another genetic dead end. Others starting to feel uncomfortable with the cruelty. I'm part of the cruel camp and suddenly ashamed of myself. Research more suicide notes from lonely men. Common themes. I'm sorry for being unwanted. Thank you for showing me I don't belong here. Maybe now someone worthy can have my spot. These men died believing they were fundamentally flawed, that their loneliness was moral failing deserving death. Find forum post from man about his friend's suicide. Says friend was genuinely good person, volunteered at soup kitchen. But 5 feet 4 inches and poor, couldn't get dates despite trying everything. Killed himself on his 30th birthday, died alone. Note said, At least I can't disappoint anyone else. Start noticing pattern in my own content. Every male tears post celebrates someone's emotional pain. Every joke about male loneliness mocks human suffering. I've been laughing at men dying of despair, treating their deaths as feminist victories. Find video of woman reading male suicide notes aloud. She's mocking them, adding commentary about pathetic incels. Comments full of women laughing at dead men's final words. These are someone's sons, brothers, friends, and we're making entertainment from their deaths. Realize I've been doing same thing on smaller scale. My toxic male tears content celebrates male suffering, treats loneliness as character flaw, deserving mockery. No wonder suicide rates are climbing. We've made their pain into comedy content. Sarah shows me TikTok about natural selection dating. Women celebrating that weak men are removing themselves. Comments like Darwin was right and survival of the fittest. These are human beings, not genetic experiments. We've become sociopaths hiding behind social justice language. Start reading about countries with highest male suicide rates. All places where traditional masculinity collapsed rapidly. Men lost sense of purpose, value, belonging. Society offered no replacement narrative, just told them their existence was problematic. Interview request from researcher studying male suicide. Dr. Sarah Chun wants to understand social media's role. I agree, hoping to learn more about what I've contributed to. She shows me data that breaks my worldview completely. Social media mockery of male loneliness correlates with suicide spikes. Viral posts making fun of incels followed by suicide clusters. Men cite online harassment in suicide notes. My content appears in study about digital bullying of vulnerable men. I'm literally in academic research about driving men to suicide. Dr. Chun shows me case study. Greater than 19-year-old killed himself after viral TikTok mocked his dating profile. Video got 2 million views. Comments calling him genetic waste. His suicide note referenced specific comments from the video. Said he realized everyone thought he should die, so he gave them what they wanted. Feel physically sick learning about this case. Could have been one of my posts that pushed someone over edge. How many men are dead because we turned their pain into content? How did fighting for equality become celebrating deaths? This isn't feminism, it's just cruelty. Dr. Chin explains that lonely men are like canaries in coal mine. When they start dying en masse, society is breaking down. High male suicide rates predict social collapse. We should be alarmed, not celebrating. These deaths signal something deeply wrong with our culture. Ask her what can be done. She says stop treating male loneliness as moral failing. Recognize that some men struggle despite doing everything right. Their pain is real. Their deaths are tragic loss of human potential. Basic empathy could save lives. Delete my toxic male tears account that night. Can't stand looking at posts celebrating human suffering. Sarah is furious, says I betrayed the movement. But what movement celebrates when people kill themselves? This isn't about women's rights anymore. It's about basic humanity. Start researching positive masculinity content. Find men's mental health advocates, suicide prevention groups, organizations trying to help isolated men before they give up. These people are doing real work while I made comedy from corpses. Finally understand what actual social justice looks like. Volunteer at Crisis Hotline. Get training on male suicide. Learn that many men call right before attempts. They don't want to die. They want the pain to stop. Most just need someone to listen without judgment. To hear that their loneliness doesn't make them evil. First call is from 23-year-old virgin considering overdose. Says he's tried everything. Nobody wants him. See my old content. Believes he deserves to die alone. Spend 3 hours convincing him his life has value. He checks into therapy instead of morgue. More calls like this come in. Men who've internalized messages that their loneliness is toxic. That wanting love makes them predators. That society would be better if they disappeared. I helped create these beliefs, now try to undo damage. Sarah and feminist friends completely ostracize me. Say I've been male-identified and betrayed women. But I'm not betraying women. I'm finding my humanity, realizing that men are people too, not political abstractions. Their deaths aren't victories, they're tragedies. Partner with men's mental health organization. Help create content about healthy masculinity. Emphasize that loneliness is human condition, not moral failing. That struggling men deserve help, not mockery. That suicide is never the answer. Response is incredible. Hundreds of men message saying they felt suicidal. That seeing empathy instead of mockery gave them hope. Some credit my content with saving their lives. Finally doing work that builds up instead of tears down. Learn about men who were saved from suicide. Many become incredible advocates, helpers, friends. Their near-death experiences taught them empathy. These genetic failures often become society's most caring members. We were killing our future healers and calling it progress. Sarah makes TikTok calling me "Pick Me Feminist." Says I'm centering male pain over women's struggles. But caring about everyone's well-being isn't betrayal. It's basic human decency that got lost in culture wars. You can support women without celebrating male deaths. Realize how many good men we've lost to suicide. Teachers who could have inspired generations. Doctors who could have saved lives. Artists who could have created beauty. All dead because we convinced them they were worthless. Work with families of male suicide victims. Meet mothers who found their sons' bodies. Fathers trying to understand why their boys gave up. Sisters devastated by losing brothers to loneliness. These aren't statistics, they're real people grieving real losses. One mother shows me her son's suicide note. He apologized for being born male in this era. Said he knew his death would make women safer. That his genetics deserved to die out. She's destroyed that society taught her son to hate himself. Another family lost 20-year-old to overdose. Kid was studying to be teacher, loved working with children, but short and awkward, never had girlfriend. Online bullying convinced him he was potential predator. Died believing world was better without him. Start speaking at high schools about male suicide prevention. Shocked by how many boys are contemplating death. They've internalized that masculinity is toxic, that their natural desires are problematic, that they're burdens on society. One 16-year-old tells me he plans to kill himself at 18. Says there's no point living if no one will ever love him. He's already convinced he's genetic failure. This is child who should be planning college, not funeral. Our culture is murdering children with ideology. Teachers confirm this is widespread. Boys withdrawing from social interaction. Afraid to talk to girls, convinced they're predators. Depression and anxiety rates skyrocketing. Many openly discuss suicide as logical choice. Realize we've created a generation of young men who see death as preferable to living. Not because they're violent or entitled, but because we've convinced them their existence is harmful. That the world would be better if they disappeared. This is ideological genocide disguised as social progress. My new content focuses on male suicide prevention, teaching people to recognize warning signs, encouraging empathy for struggling men, challenging narratives that celebrate male deaths, working to undo damage I help create, get death threats from former feminist allies. They see helping men as ultimate betrayal. But I can't go back to celebrating human suffering. Can't treat deaths as victories in culture war. These are real people, not political pawns. Partner with suicide researchers and mental health professionals. Learn that most male suicides are preventable. Just need society to stop treating their pain as joke. Stop telling them their loneliness is moral failing. Start seeing them as humans deserving help. Every life saved feels like redemption. Every man who chooses therapy over death. Every boy who decides his life has value. Slowly rebuilding what my cruelty helped destroy. Finally doing work that matters. Looking back, I understand how we got here. Feminism became about revenge, not equality. Male suffering became comedy content. Deaths became victories to celebrate. We lost our humanity in pursuit of political points. If you're making content that mocks male loneliness, stop and think about who might be watching. That pathetic incel might be someone's son. Your joke might be the last thing he sees before deciding the world agrees he should die. Male suicide isn't natural selection. It's human tragedy on massive scale. Every death represents potential lost forever. And maybe if we showed basic empathy, some of these men would choose life instead. The choice is ours. Do we want to build or destroy? Do we want to heal or harm? Do we want equality or extermination? Because right now, we're choosing death and calling it progress.